Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Speak from the Heart, a testimonial podcast series where athletes talk about how God has worked through the athletic career. My name is Cole Reynolds, and this episode I'm going to be talking about purpose and perspective. And this is a really cool topic that I've wanted to talk about for a while now. It's something I also highlight in majority of my videos and a lot of my episodes. I always talk about identity and purpose and kind of just taking a step back and getting perspective on what exactly we believe we're here to do on this earth. And it's so much bigger than sports. It's so much bigger than ourselves. And I kind of wanted to dive in my experience and things that I've gone through to kind of push me toward that mentality, because it's not always been that way. So I grew up loving baseball, and I thought it was my purpose. I thought I was put on this earth to be a baseball player. I started facing a little bit of pressure, though, when I committed to a Division I. Because you don't just go out and play anymore. It's more so, like, in my mind, it was more so protecting my reputation, protecting my pride and my ego. How do people view me if I were to play bad? Were they going to think, oh, wow, he's going to Division I? So it became more so less of a game and more of a job. And so I got that little job experience mindset before I even got to college. So throughout high school, I stopped seeing it as a game, and that's when pressure started to kick in and anxiety started to kick in. And so I was at this conflict of like, I don't really enjoy my sport anymore as much as I used to, and that anxiety kind of took the joy away from it. And so once I got to college, it completely amplified. I wasn't just nervous anymore. I was terrified. I was afraid of every day that I would face. I didn't want to go practice. I hated Richmond, even though it was an awesome place. And I couldn't see it at the time. I was a freshman, and all I could think about was wanting to go back home. I didn't embrace the change. I hated the change. I didn't want to go away from home. I think the reality set in that I was never going to be living with my parents anymore. I was never going to be, coming home from school to them anymore. And that hurt, because things are changing, and it happened so quick. And so college completely changed. It kind of readjusted what my purpose was, because I started to be like, dang, baseball's my everything, but it's falling apart a little bit because it's harder. I'm playing against Division I guys. I'm playing against dudes that went to JUCOs that are 2 to 3 years older than me, and I started to not play as much for the first time in my life. I redshirted my first year, and then my second year at EKU, I got in 5 games. I pinch ran 3 times and got 2 at-bats over the course of 2 years, so it was hard. I was faced with a different kind of pressure and adversity, and I felt like if I'm not good at this, I'm a failure. And so I kind of focused my center of value and everything that I was worth into my performance in baseball, which is easy to do as athletes. We kind of get so consumed with our performance and our progression and how well we're handling things and doing things, because that's all that matters to us a lot of the time. And it became so much of my identity that whenever I was in high school, that was all I was baseball. I think I really neglected my character. I could care less if someone said that I was a nice guy. It would matter more to me if they said I was a really good baseball player. I think that mattered more in my head. It made me feel better about myself. And that's so shallow and almost a little bit immaturity. Because it did matter to me, but also became so much of me that I could care less about who I was as a human being. I kind of put God on the back burner a little bit and put a lot of pressure on myself because I wanted to succeed more than anything, and I worked so hard. I pushed so hard. I didn't think anything was guaranteed for me or deserving of me. I felt like every morning when I got up that I had to earn what I was going to get. And so I worked hard. I put in the hours, I put in the grit, but I also didn't enjoy the process as much as I needed to. I remember my senior year of high school, my dad was one of the assistant coaches, and I remember telling my dad, I'm nervous, and like I'd be shaking. I was just so anxious and those nerves started kicking. It was my last year of high school and I was getting ready to go to a Division One. I didn't feel like I was ready. I didn't have the confidence in myself, and I started to put so much pressure on myself. I had this conflict of like pressure and anxiety, and my purpose and identity were fighting each other. It was like I had to be good at this, and if I wasn't, then I'm a failure. If I fail at this, then I'm nothing. And it just sort of spiraled, and it became terrible. I really regret that, looking back, that I didn't enjoy those high school years that I had left, my junior and senior year, because I was so consumed with myself. I was so consumed with my pride and my ego and battling anxiety and putting so much pressure on myself that I couldn't even enjoy the game anymore. And so I think that we think that, especially younger athletes that may have been somewhat close in my situation, or committed to a Division I school, or that are pretty solid athletes, that our purpose is what we do, and that we have to succeed in that purpose, right? So when we struggle with these things, when we face that kind of mindset and that adversity, sometimes we feel lost and we feel like we're failures. And in Colossians 3 verse 23, it says, "Do everything for God." So that verse talks about doing everything for God and not yourself. And the point about that is it's not what you do, right? It's not what you do, but it's who you do it for. Baseball became extremely stressful. It became a job. It did not feel like a game anymore. And you put so much training, money, time, sacrifice. You're giving away your free time. You're putting so much effort into, lifting, hitting coaches, whatever. I mean, I've had dozens of hitting coaches. My parents have spent who knows how much money on travel ball equipment, bats, gloves. And honestly, I felt like I owed it to them because of all the things that they've supplied me with. Why couldn't I succeed to the maximum degree? Because I was so blessed to get everything that I could ever want. If I wanted a new bat, they'd give me a new bat. My family, my mom and dad loved me and my brother, and they wanted so badly for me to succeed because it's something I wanted to do. And so they were willing to sacrifice those things and get me those things and provide those things for me because they knew that's what I wanted. And if I wanted those things, I'd get it. And looking back, I was a spoiled brat. I got everything that I could have ever wanted. And what I wanted the most was to succeed. Even though I could have been like, oh, I want the Evo shield. I want the, I don't know. I want the cool thumb guards. I want the cool leg guards. I want the ice cream sliding mitt. Like, I didn't care about it. I wanted the things that I thought I needed. And then I worked really, really hard to get those things. I put in the time, put in the money, put in the training, and I still didn't get the results that I wanted. And that was a hard thing for me to face, especially my senior year. I hit, I think, 340 my senior year, which, if you know baseball, high school baseball, that's not bad, but it's also not great. And I was going to a Division I. I felt like I held myself to a pretty high standard, and I 100% should have done better toward the end of my high school years. I think the realization that I had with this is that the craziest thing about my life specifically is that all of my suffering and all of my hard that I've faced in life came from a game. And so when I take a step back from that and realize the perspective of it, I'm like, dang, man, are you serious? You're worried about getting a hit or worried about, making a play or making yourself look good or what people are thinking about you? Like, dude, it's a game. And that's the reality that I started to work with and started to realize as I've gotten older. I mean, I'm a junior eligibility-wise in college. I got one more year after this year. And I'm just now realizing it. And I'm at the end of my career. So it's a hard reality to face, but it's also like, dude, you were so blessed with so many things that you took for granted. I got to go to bed in a nice warm bed. I woke up every morning with a healthy body. I got to drive a car to school. I didn't have to ride the bus. I didn't have to walk. I got to go lift and play video games and hang out with my friends. I had everything that I could ever want, but I was still so unhappy and so unfulfilled because I was so focused on my success. And if you know baseball, if you're a baseball person, you know how hard hitting is. 3 out of 10 times, if you succeed, you're a Hall of Famer. And that reality is hard. Losing 70% of the time means that you're still an elite player as a hitter. And that doesn't even include being, a defender. Like if you field 975, 980 as an infielder, which means that out of 100 attempts, you make 98 of them, that's elite. That's really, really good. And then once you make 2 or 3 more, then it starts to be unacceptable, or it's a little bit average or below average. And so it's hard. It's a hard game. So a lot of the time I was upset with myself because I wanted perfection. I wanted to be great. So that kind of reality shift and identity shift of I'm not my sport, and it's such a cliche, I've said it so many times, but you are not your sport. I'm not my sport, and life is so much more. And I was so blessed all throughout my life that even if I didn't have baseball, I should have been so grateful. But I wasn't. I wasn't grateful. I appreciated the things that I had. I didn't realize the magnitude of the appreciation that I should have been giving, because it was not very. It was just like, oh yeah, I got a new bat. It was just stubborn and spoiled, and it's just because my family loved me, and they blessed me and my little brother with everything that we wanted, and anything that we wanted. And I wanted success, something that I was destined for, which is unfortunate because I didn't go out and just play the game. I pressed and I hoped, and whenever I succeeded, it was more like relief rather than that was fun, or I'm glad that went my way. It was more like, phew, I'm glad it went my way. So here's the shift that I kind of went through: was my purpose isn't what I achieve, but how I live. And what I've realized is that I'm at my best when I'm helping other people and when I'm doing something bigger than myself. So when I'm going out and talking to people, or making these videos, or making these edits, or posting these things about, inspiring, trying to make an impact on other people, I feel so fulfilled. I feel like that is my why. That is my purpose of pushing help and mentality and these things that I've stored in my head, because I'm an overthinker. I think about everything all the time. Just getting my thoughts out there to people. And when I'm not focused on myself, because I have been my whole entire life, that is when I'm at my best. Because you get so tunnel visioned, like I mentioned at the start of this episode. You get so tunnel visioned on the things that you're going through, the things you're experiencing, that you kind of just almost self-absorb or kind of fantasize over self, and you're so wrapped up in your mind that you don't enjoy the situations around you, you don't enjoy the people around you, you don't enjoy the blessings around you. In Matthew 22, verses 37 through 39, it talks about love God and loving people. So when we love God and we love others, we serve others. Being a Christian is called to being a servant. Being a servant leader. And so it's loving God, but also helping other people. And that's an awesome purpose. I feel like that's something that we can all incorporate into our lives, but also it helps us find a direction, right? Like, so if you're looking for a direction, I think the first place you need to go to is, how can I serve others and serve God as well? And that direction will always provide the most fulfillment in my mind, right? Like, We're fulfilling our spiritual needs, but we're also fulfilling the needs of other people on this earth. So how can you reframe that? So that's the question that I started getting at, is like, okay, so I found out my purpose and I like this why. So how can I reframe this from baseball? It's like, maybe baseball wasn't my purpose, right? Maybe it's my platform. So that's whenever I started to, this whole thing started to click, right? I wanted to give the lessons that I learned and the growth that I experienced and the opportunities that I faced and the adversity that I went through to help impact people in a positive way by giving my experience and the things that I went through to maybe someone younger than me, or someone maybe that has questions about their past and they're a little bit older than me, maybe facing some sort of regret or some sort of something that they wish they could really have some light shed on. Because when it's all said and done, you're not going to look back and be like, dang, I wish I would have, I don't know, I wish my stats were better. No, I wish I would have enjoyed that time more. Because I remember my junior year at IU Southeast, I was talking to my mom and dad when I got back home from one of the breaks that we had. I think it was Christmas break. It was the break after the fall. And I was talking to them about my first year at EKU, and I was like, dang, I really hated it there. But I really, really wish that I enjoyed it better. Because that freshman year, my freshman fall, so many people that I never got to see again, or I've not seen till this day, you know? I didn't get to enjoy those moments with those people that were cool to me and the people I enjoyed to be around. Because it's so short, you know? Like those times that you have with some people are so short. And me and my girlfriend, we talk about it all the time about how many goodbyes she's had to say to people. Because, you know, she was at EKU for 5 years and she played soccer, so she had to say goodbye to people constantly, over and over, every single year. There was always another goodbye. And I just wish I would have enjoyed it more that fall, because obviously it was a really hard adjusting period, but it was also so fun if I would have just let go. Because I'm thinking about all the things that me and my roommate Owen would go and do, and some of the freshman class that came in, how we would hang out in the dorms and the things that we would do and just have fun and goof off with each other. Like, I didn't enjoy it to the most that I could have. And I was kind of just so wrapped up in myself and being anxious and nervous, and I was just terrified. But in Romans 8:28, it says God uses everything for good. So it's okay to not know what the future holds, right? Like, we can be curious, but we can also face uncertainty with the future. Because God uses everything for good. He's not going to lead us astray. If we stay faithful to Him, He's not going to lead us astray. He's not going to force us into something that there may be things that we necessarily don't want to do, but is the best thing for us, right? I still don't know what I want to fully do with my life. Because there's a crossroads coming up, right? It's either I continue to pursue a career in baseball, or I step away and do something else, right? So I think the trust part is Proverbs 3 verses 5 and 6, and it's to trust God. We don't need the full plan, right? Like, we can have everything laid out for us, but that's not true faith. Having faith is not knowing what the future holds, not knowing the plan that may be in front of us, or the steps, or the adversity, or things that we may not understand in front of us. It's just trusting the next step. So, another experience that I had with this was my exit meeting, my second year at EKU. I was told that even if I were to stay, I would not get a fair chance at opportunities. So I had this crossroads, right? I could either stay and not really get a chance and just to be there with my friends. My girlfriend was literally 30 minutes away because she was going back to Lexington. Or I could have pursued something else. I could have taken that leap into the transfer portal. Or I could have been done. I felt like when I wanted to have everything said and done, I want to have opened the doors to every place that I could go and be okay with it. My girlfriend was like, yeah, do it. I want you to be happy. I want you to have a career that you can look back on and not regret. And I was like, I completely agree. I want to be able to say that I opened all my doors. And I was fully convinced that if there was no school that wanted me, I would be okay with baseball being over. Even though that would not be the case. I would be distraught. It would have been terrible. But when I reel this back, I'll reel this back in. When you bring it all together, let's talk about the idea of failing the thing that you believe is your identity and your purpose. If you feel like you're failing because things aren't going your way, reform that idea that you're not failing, you're just being redirected. Because your purpose isn't your sport, and it's not your success or your achievements or the things of this world that we hold so high. Like, what award can I get? What preseason All-State? What All-American award can I get that will fulfill me? Because in the end, your purpose is who you live for and who you impact. So you serve, like, as Christians, we serve a God. We serve a loving God that has blessed us immeasurably. And what matters most is the people we impact on this earth. And our purpose as Christians is to bring others to Christ and to expand his kingdom. And purpose isn't performance, right? And it's not what you do, it's who you do it for. You can lose your role without losing your purpose as well. So I was a starter all throughout high school. I didn't start for the first 2 years of my college career. I started my junior year, and it's important to reframe that, like, just because you're not playing all the time, you're not getting the things that you want, it's not everything. We hold so dearly onto these ideas of being a starter and being the best and being, there's so-and-so from whatever county and he's the best and he was really good at baseball. Like, sure, they may say that for a little bit, but now looking back, when someone says he was really good, but he was a better person than he was a baseball player, that means more to me now than it ever has. Baseball is not my purpose. It is my platform. Because I get to do this. I get to connect with hundreds of athletes and meet tons of people that are super cool, and that's such a cool moment and thing to realize. But I get to connect with so many cool people, and I got to make an impact and to carry this content creation and this cool idea of using my platform to do the things that I love to do, which is help other people. And so I think that's my purpose. And taking a step back from the grind and the sport and the day-to-day and all that stuff, this makes me happy. And this is fun. And so I think that's a cool direction to go to. It may be right, it may be wrong, but I think it's cool. And I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm always excited to see where this goes. I wake up and I'm like, dang, I can't really, I get a little giddy. Like, it's like I'm a little kid on Christmas morning. Just getting to connect with people and make an impact and see where this thing goes. But that's kind of been the end of this episode. I'm recording this super late. We leave tomorrow. We have a weekend series at Georgetown, and it is 2:30 in the morning. I really wanted to record this video though, so I decided to sacrifice a couple hours of sleep to get this video in and get this episode in. So I'll upload it on Sunday, which is the day that you all are seeing this video currently. So that's all I got. I appreciate you all for watching, and come back next Sunday for the next episode.